The hunger under the floorboards. My grandmother, my Yi, she used to tell me that every house breathes. In the heat of the day, its wood expands with a sigh. In the cool of the night, it contracts with a quiet groan. Our new house on the edge of the village, perched on its tall stilts like a resting heron, it did more than breathe. It held its breath. It was as if the whole world did, waiting for the monsoon rains to finally break the fever of the dry season. I was 7 months pregnant, and my world had shrunk to the size of this house, to the space inside my own swelling body. My husband, Vanna, had brought me here from Phnom Penh, back to his home village in Kampong Cham. He said the quiet and the clean air would be better for the baby. He promised me peace. But peace has a sound, and it is not the sound I began to hear when the sun bled out behind the sugar palm trees. It began subtly. The night would fall like a thick, wet blanket, smothering every noise except for the frantic, electric chorus of the cicadas. I'd lie on our mat, feeling the child kick and turn inside me, a secret little fish in a warm sea. Vanna would already be asleep, his breathing a steady, comforting rhythm beside me. Then the cicadas would stop, all at once. A heavy, unnatural silence would press down on the house, so dense it felt like I was sinking to the bottom of the Mekong. And in that silence, I would hear it. A wet, dragging sound from the banana grove that bordered our land. It was not the slither of a snake or the scuttling of a lizard. It was heavy, labored. The sound of something thick and sodden being pulled slowly, deliberately, through the mud and decaying leaves. I told Vanna the next morning. He was drinking his hot coffee, looking out at the morning mist clinging to the trees. He smiled, the gentle smile that had made me leave the city for him. "Bong," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I heard something strange last night, under the house." He reached over and patted my hand. It was probably just a stray dog, Aun, or maybe a big monitor lizard looking for chickens. "Don't you worry, our little one is safe here." I wanted to believe him. I truly did. I spent the day trying to fill the house with normal sounds. The sizzle of frying fish, the gentle thump of the rice pestle, the murmur of the radio. But as the afternoon shadows grew long and the air grew thick and heavy again, a knot of dread tightened in my stomach. I knew the silence was coming. And that night, it came with friends. The cicadas fell silent, right on cue. The dragging sound started again, closer this time, no longer in the grove but directly under the floorboards. Schlick, schlick, schlick. A terrible, viscous rhythm that seemed to sync with my own frantic heartbeat. Then came the smell. It wasn't the familiar scent of the village night, the sweet perfume of jasmine or the earthy smell of damp soil. This was an acrid sweet stench, a foul perfume of overripe jackfruit left to rot in the sun, mixed with the metallic tang of spoiled meat. It slithered up through the cracks in the bamboo floor, a ghostly finger tracing the air, making me gag. I squeezed my eyes shut, burying my face in the thin pillow. My heart hammered against my ribs. The baby, my baby who was usually so calm at night, began to kick and thrash within me, a frantic, desperate dance. It was as if it could sense the wrongness seeping into our home, as if it were trying to claw its way out, away from the thing that was below us. And through the thin slats of the shuttered window, I saw it for the first time. A light. Not the warm, yellow glow of a neighbor's lamp, or the cold, distant silver of a star. This was a bobbing, poolsing light of phosphorescent green, a sick, swampy color that seemed to absorb the darkness around it. It moved with the dragging sound, a sickly star searching for a way inside. I nudged Vanna harder this time. "Vanna," I whispered, my voice trembling, "wake up, please, there's someone outside." He groaned, rolling over. "Sathya, it's the middle of the night. You're dreaming. Go back to sleep." But I couldn't. I lay there, rigid, listening to the wet dragging, smelling the putrid air, and watching that awful green light pulse and sway just beyond our window. And then I heard the cooing. It was a soft sound, a low, guttural croon that was trying so very hard to sound human. It was the sound a mother might make to a hungry child, but there was no love in it, only a terrible, hollow-sounding hunger, a chilling, predatory tenderness that froze the blood in my veins. I knew then, with a certainty that defied all logic, that this was no dog, no lizard, It was something else. And I knew as my baby thrashed inside me that whatever it was, it had come for us. The next few days passed in a haze of fear. During the bright, unforgiving light of day, my terror seemed foolish. Vanna would go to work in the fields. The village would come alive with the sounds of children laughing and motorcycles sputtering down the dirt road. Everything was normal, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I started to look for signs, for proof that I wasn't going mad. In the muddy earth under our house, where the dragging sound had been, I found a strange trail. It wasn't footprints. It was a wide, shallow furrow, as if a heavy, wet sack had been pulled through the dirt. And scattered along the trail were dark, reddish-brown stains and a few long, black strands of hair caught on the roots of a mango tree. The smell lingered, too. A faint, phantom scent of rot that clung to the damp air beneath the house. I tried to wash it away, scrubbing the floorboards with lemongrass and kaffir lime leaves until my knuckles were raw, but the sweet, sickly odor was embedded in the wood itself. Vanna grew impatient with me. "Own," he said one evening, his voice strained. "You're scaring yourself. This is an old house. Old houses make noises. The mind plays tricks when you're pregnant and not sleeping well." "But it's the light, Bong, and the smell. How do you explain that?" "A firefly," he offered, "a big one, and maybe some fruit fell and rotted under the house. We have a jackfruit tree right there. It's simple." His logic felt like a wall I couldn't break through. He was a man of the modern world. He believed in tractors and medicine and things he could see and touch. He did not believe in the things that whispered in the dark. His refusal to believe me was worse than the fear itself. It made me feel utterly alone, adrift in a sea of my own terror. Desperate, I went to see Yi Esray, the oldest woman in the village. Her face was a beautiful map of wrinkles, her eyes small and bright like a bird's. She lived in a small hut surrounded by pots of herbs and protective spirit houses draped with marigold garlands. I sat on a small stool while she chewed her betel nut, staining her lips a deep red. I told her everything, my voice faltering as I described the dragging, the smell, the cooing, the terrible green light. I told her how the baby kicked and writhed whenever it was near. As I spoke, her cheerful expression slowly dissolved. The light in her eyes dimmed, replaced by a deep, ancient knowing that chilled me to the bone. She stopped chewing. She spat a stream of red juice onto the dirt floor and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. She looked at my swollen belly, then at my face. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was a dry rustle of leaves. "Up," she whispered. The word hung in the air between us, heavy and vile. I had heard stories as a child, of course. Terrifying tales told to scare us into behaving, but I never imagined they were real. "She is a woman cursed," Yi Esray explained, her eyes fixed on some distant point beyond the walls of her hut. "By day, she looks like anyone else. Your neighbor, a woman you buy vegetables from at the market. But at night, her head detaches from her body. Her heart, her stomach, her intestines, they all come with it, dangling below her as she floats through the darkness, searching." "Searching for what?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Blood," she said. "Filth. Afterbirth. She is drawn to the scent of new life. She preys on pregnant women and newborn bobbies, drawing the life from them to sustain her own cursed existence. The green light you see, that is the phosphorescent glow of her insides. The smell, it is the decay she carries with her." My hands flew to my belly, a protective shield. "But why me? Why our house?" Yi Esray's gaze was full of pity. "Perhaps someone in your family wronged hers long ago. Perhaps you carry something she desires. Or perhaps she is just hungry and you are close. The reasons of a spirit are not for us to understand." "How do I stop it? How do I protect my baby?" "You must make your home a fortress of thorns," she said, her voice urgent now. "The op cannot stand anything that can tear or snag her trailing organs. Go, cut down bamboo with sharp points. Find the thorny vine that grows by the river. Weave a barrier under your house. Place it across your windows and your door. Leave no space for her to enter. And pray. Pray to every protective spirit you know." I left Yi Esray's hut with a new kind of fear. It was no longer a vague, nameless dread. It now had a name. Op, It had a face, even if I didn't know whose it was, and it had a purpose. It wanted my child. That afternoon, I worked like a woman possessed. I took a heavy knife and went to the thicket of thorny vines by the riverbank, ignoring the scratches on my arms and legs. I hacked at the bamboo grove, choosing the stalks with the sharpest, most jagged edges. When Vanna came home, he found me on my hands and knees under the house, weaving a terrifying web of thorns between the stilts, my face streaked with dirt and tears. "Sathya, what in the world are you doing?" He tried to pull me out, but I resisted. "I'm protecting us," I screamed at him, my voice raw. "I'm protecting our baby. Yi Esray told me what to do. It's an op." He stared at me, his face a mixture of anger and deep concern. "An op? Aun, you have been listening to old wives' tales. This is madness. You'll hurt yourself. You'll hurt the baby." He doesn't believe me, I thought, a wave of despair washing over me. He thinks I am losing my mind. He helped me up, his touch gentle despite his frustration. He cleaned my cuts and made me rest, but I could see the way he looked at me now. It was different. He was looking at a stranger, a frantic, superstitious woman he no longer understood. That night, I barricaded the shutters with more thorny branches. Vanna watched me, shaking his head, but he didn't stop me. Maybe a small part of him was finally scared, or maybe he just realized it was pointless to argue. We lay in the dark, the air tense with our unspoken conflict. The cicadas chirped their normal, comforting song. 1 hour passed, then 2. The dragging sound didn't come. The smell didn't rise from the floorboards. There was no green light. "See," Vanna whispered, his voice thick with relief. "Nothing. It was all in your head, my love. Now please get some rest." He fell asleep quickly, but I remained awake, my body rigid with suspicion. This felt wrong, too easy. The silence was different tonight. It was not a peaceful silence. It was a waiting silence, a patient, predatory stillness. The baby was still, too, not a single kick. It was as if it, too, were holding its breath, listening. And then, just as a sliver of hope began to bloom in my chest, I heard a new sound. A soft thump. It came from the roof, followed by a slow, scraping noise, like fingernails dragging across the wooden shingles. My blood ran cold. It wasn't under the house anymore. It had learned. It was on the roof. The scraping moved slowly, methodically, towards the small ventilation opening near the ceiling, an opening too small for a person, but more than large enough for a head. The foul, sweet smell of rot began to drift down into the room, stronger than ever before. It smelled of the grave. The cooing started again, right above us. It was no longer soft. It was a greedy, triumphant sound. It knew we were trapped. Vanna slept on, oblivious. I was completely, utterly alone with the monster that was trying to get into our home. The baby inside me gave a single, violent jolt, a spasm of pure terror that shot a sharp pain through my side. I couldn't scream. My throat had closed up. All I could do was lie there, paralyzed, staring up at the dark ceiling, listening to the scraping and the hungry, inhuman cooing of the thing that was just a few feet away, separated from me and my unborn child by nothing more than a few thin planks of wood. It was no longer searching. It had found us. The scraping stopped directly over the ventilation gap. The smell of decay became so thick it was almost a physical presence in the room, coating my tongue, burning my nostrils. The cooing sound was now a low, excited gurgle, the sound of a predator about to feast. I could hear a soft, wet dripping sound. Something was leaking through the roof, spattering onto the floorboards beside our mat. Drip, drip, drip. I didn't dare look. I knew it wasn't rain. My mind, numb with terror, finally screamed one clear thought. Vanna. I had to wake him. I reached out a trembling hand and shook his shoulder, a weak, pathetic gesture. "Bong," I rasped, my voice a broken thing. "Bong, it's on the roof." He stirred, mumbling in his sleep. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused. "What? Sathya, what is it?" Then his nose twitched. His eyes widened as the horrific smell finally registered. "What is that stench?" Before I could answer, a shadow blotted out the faint moonlight filtering through the ventilation gap. Something was blocking it. Something was looking down at us. The cooing sound morphed into a low, guttural hiss. filled with frustration. It couldn't fit. The gap was too small. A new sound began, a hard, rhythmic banging against the wooden shutters of the window. It wanted in. It was growing impatient. The entire house seemed to vibrate with each impact. Vanna shot up, now fully awake, his face pale in the gloom. "Stay here," he commanded, grabbing the heavy iron poker from our small cooking fire. He moved towards the window, his body tense. "Who's there?" he shouted, his voice trying for a strength it didn't have. "I warn you, I have a weapon." The only answer was another violent slam against the shutters, making the wood splinter. And then I saw the green light again. It was no longer a faint, distant pulse. It was a brilliant, sickening emerald glow, pouring through the cracks in the window frame, painting terrifying stripes of light across the room. Through one of the larger cracks, I saw a flash of movement, a pale shape, a face. Curiosity, or perhaps a madness born of pure terror, seized me. I had to see it. I had to know what was hunting me. While Vanna stood frozen by the window, I crept silently to the wall and pressed my eye to a tiny knothole in the wood. What I saw will be burned into my memory until the day I die. Floating in the stormy night air was a woman's head. Her long, black hair was a tangled, writhing mass, matted with mud and what looked like dark, congealed blood. Her face was contorted in a mask of pure, ravenous hunger. Her skin was unnaturally pale, and her eyes glowed with a faint, internal light, like dying coals. And below her chin, where her neck should have been, there was only a bloody stump. From it, a horrifying cascade of organs dangled and swayed in the wind. A pulsing heart, glistening intestines, a dark, swollen liver, all tangled together like a nest of snakes, and all of it radiating that hideous, phosphorescent green light. The creature slammed its head against the window again, and as it turned, a flash of lightning illuminated its features perfectly. My breath caught in my throat. A wave of nausea and disbelief crashed over me. I knew that face. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't some ancient, nameless spirit from Yi Esray's stories. It was Melia. Melia, the young woman from the market who sold fruit from her family's farm. Melia, who always had a kind smile for me. Melia, who, just 2 days ago, had gently placed her hand on my belly and said, "Not long now. He will be a strong, healthy boy. I can feel it." Her kindness had not been kindness. It had been an assessment, a predator sizing up its prey. The op, Melia, saw my eye in the knothole. Our gazes locked. Her lips peeled back from her teeth in a grotesque smile, and she let out a piercing, triumphant shriek. It wasn't human. It was the cry of a starving beast that has finally cornered its meal. She abandoned the window and shot towards the front door, slamming against it with renewed force. The old wood groaned, the hinges straining. Vanna, finally spurred to action, rushed to brace it with his body. "The thorns," I shrieked, my voice finally returning. "The thorns I put on the door." He didn't understand, but I saw it. The creature wasn't just hitting the door. It was thrashing, its dangling entrails catching and tearing on the sharp bamboo spikes I had woven into the frame. Its shrieks turned from hunger to pain. The green light flickered and pulsed erratically. It pulled back, and I heard a sickening tearing sound. It shrieked again, a sound of pure agony and rage this time, before there was a final, wet dragging noise, and then silence. The only sounds were the pounding rain, and Vanna's ragged breathing. The sun rose that morning on a scene of devastation. The wood of our door was splintered and gouged. The ground below was littered with torn leaves and broken branches, and caught on the sharp thorns around the door frame was a long, ragged strip of flesh. It was gray and rubbery, and it pulsed with a faint, dying green light before fading to a dull color in the morning sun. Clinging to it was a piece of dark blue cloth, torn from a woman's sarong. Vanna stared at it, his face ashen, all his modern skepticism shattered and gone, replaced by a raw, primal fear. He finally believed me, but it was a victory that tasted like ash in my mouth. We didn't speak of it. There were no words for what we had seen. Later that day, we had to go to the market for supplies. My entire body screamed at me to stay inside, to lock the door and never leave. But we couldn't hide forever. As we walked through the crowded stalls, Trying to act normal, I saw her. Melia was there, arranging mangoes in a neat pyramid. She was wearing a new sarong, a different color from the night before. She looked pale and tired. A long, fresh scratch, red and angry, ran down the side of her neck, disappearing into the collar of her blouse. She saw me looking. Our eyes met across the bustling market. She smiled. It was the same gentle smile she always gave me, but now I could see what was behind it. The cold, reptilian hunger, the patient, ancient evil. Her eyes flickered down to my belly just for a second, and her smile widened. It was a knowing smile, a promise. We left the market immediately. That was a week ago. My baby is due any day now. Vanna wants to take me back to Phnom Penh, but the rains have been heavy. The roads are flooded, impassable. We are trapped here. We have turned our home into a prison of thorns. Every night, we barricade ourselves in, Vanna sitting with the iron poker across his lap, his eyes wide in the darkness. The dragging sound has not returned. There has been no green light, no scent of rot. The cooing has stopped. But the silence is so much worse. I know she is still out there. By day, she is Melia, my smiling neighbor. By night, she is the op, the hungry ghost. I know the piece of herself she lost on our thorns will only have made her angrier, more determined. She is not gone. She is healing. She is waiting. Every night, I lie awake on my mat, my hand pressed against my stomach, feeling the gentle flutter of the new life inside me. I listen, not for the chirping of the cicadas or the drumming of the rain on the roof. I listen for the silence to break. I listen for the first wet, dragging sound in the banana grove. Because I know it is not a matter of if she will come back. It is a matter of when. And I know what she is hungry for.